It wasn't I wasn't one of these guys who always really wanted to do medicine. Well, I'm not going to drink. That's my religion. That's it. I was always underconfident.
Oh, really?
So, yeah. It's imposter syndrome. Or every time I meet the banker, they say, no, bro, it's okay. Like, you can get a little bit of money, but you're fine as you are. You know, I kind of say to them, guys, it's just not worth it. Sadly, it wasn't something that I could do. It's taken me a long time to be able just to have the courage, to have the self-doubt and not be ashamed of that, because why should you? The families are screaming at news. Yeah, you can't work faster. You make a single mistake, that's it. And I think in the past there's been a lot of stuff about doctors being really condescending. From what I hear, just the competition gets higher and higher. You try to do your best. You try to help people out.
Just chill. Whatever you're cool with. Honestly, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Yeah, exactly. It doesn't matter. Because it is difficult, as you were discussing. Shall we just roll? Yeah, we're ready when you're off.
In this episode, we get to meet Dr. Omar, who is a professional in the medical and corporate field.
Thank you so much, Omar, for joining. Really appreciate you coming. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
No, brilliant. So just really wanted to start off and really interested to learn a bit more about what you do. So how would you best describe what you do?
Yeah, so I'm a GP, and I've been a GP for about 10 years now, just under. And although I've been a bit of an atypical GP, so I've done the GP practice thing. Yep. But I also have done things like A&E or urgent care centres. Okay. And then more recently have done things like we've been involved in homeless kind of outreach projects to people who are homeless and in hotels, which happened during COVID. Yep. As well as political refugees.
Wow. Okay. Sounds cool.
I've kind of been in lead GP or kind of associate medical director or more recently medical director roles, very fortunately. Yeah. For the last few years. And so the latest one would be one I started just a few months ago in forensics. Nice. As medical director, and that was for police custody and sexual assault referral centres. Wow,
so it's quite a journey. So would it be fair to say you've kind of started off normal medical, went into GP, did a lot, and then now kind of gone down the corporate route?
Definitely. So I didn't go into a GP practice. Yeah. I did initially, but that was a kind of a super practice. They had about kind of 10, 15 different GP surgeries. Right. And then, more recently gone into the corporate route. So going more into companies rather than, you might have a lot of GPs go into like a partnership or into a small company. That is becoming more common.
Brilliant. That's great. Briefly, like, what was your journey getting into medical? Because medicine is kind of a decision you make quite early on, right?
Yes.
So really interested actually to learn about what made that.
Sadly or typically, it wasn't I wasn't one of these guys who always really wanted to do medicine.
Okay.
I kind of got, firmly, not even gently nudged into it.
Okay.
And that was family. The kind of, I thought, should I do philosophy? Like, no. Shall I do psychology? No. What about pharmacy? No. So there was definitely a kind of family nudge, and I did kind of look back and wonder, would I have been better? It's an eternal kind of thing in the back of my mind. Would I have done better going into something I could have really have put my heart into? Although every time I meet a philosophy PhD, he goes, no, bro, it's okay, you did the right thing. Or every time I meet a banker, they say, no, bro, it's okay, like, you can get a little bit of money, but you're fine as you are. Yeah. Stay in medicine, help people. And I'm good. This is not healthy. So I was definitely nudged into it from an early age. So managed to kind of have imposter syndrome throughout med school.
Okay.
And then came out thinking, what do? I wanted to be a surgeon. Yeah. All the surgeons told me, unless you have something wrong with you, don't become a surgeon. Because the demands are really high. Demands are really high in terms of the number of hours, the number of extra procedures, the amount of, and I've been a GP 10 years now. Wow. Whereas I've had friends who are just becoming consultants now, and they're to do PhDs, they have to do lots of extra hours, lots of academic stuff. Yeah. And while I was interested in that and did a little bit of that, it was nowhere near kind of that consultant pathway was really
difficult specialty.
Okay. It was a lot longer, almost 5 to 10 years longer.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? I guess, which is it is a very intense introduction that you have to go through doing your medical school, and then after that you have to go through the foundation years, and then if you have a specialization, so it's quite an intense, and that's why I would have thought you make that decision up front, but for you it was more partially family direction,
It just kind of what, you assess every few years or you kind of just what's best to do next.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of went in the GP direction.
Yeah.
For me, it was a nice short 3-year training program.
Right.
And it gives you the most flexibility. Like there's a lot more GP surgeries out there to work in the hospitals.
Yeah.
And it also gives you the idea that actually afterwards you can specialize in something, you can do something else.
Yeah.
If you want to.
Yeah. Yeah. What's kind of been the biggest kind of challenge throughout that? Because seeing the educational side, seeing all the initial, to get into med school was tough. Then doing med school is tough. Post med school is quite tough. So it's quite a tough job.
It's all tough.
That's all a challenge. But in addition to all of that, what has been kind of, some of the big challenges that you've faced in your journey thus far?
I suppose every stage has its different talent.
Yep.
So you've got a lot of academic challenges, and from what I hear, just the competition gets higher and higher. It was high in my day.
Yep.
Whereas now it's kind of getting even more higher.
Yep.
So there's academic challenges, and there's a lot of kind of your natural enthusiasm to study and learn a subject goes so far.
Yep.
And if anything, that's got a little bit easier. Recently, so for example, some of the forensics learning I'm doing recently.
Yeah.
It's because I kind of want to do it and get into it and do my job better, as opposed to, well, if I don't pass my exam, I can't become a GP.
Yeah.
So I can't work.
Yeah.
It's very different. But there's also the kind of impact on family. There is a sacrifice there. It's not a 9-to-5 job, no way.
Yeah. There's studies to do after, and then fit everything that in and around personal.
It doesn't feel like always the career. Again, maybe it's getting better recently, but it doesn't feel like the impact on you, your personal health, physically. Are you getting time to work out? Are you getting time to relax and downtime? Are you getting time for your mental health, your mental space? You might have some stressful conversations at work. They don't really. There's some time catered for that, and it's getting a bit better. But certainly in the past, there would be kind of now you need to get on with it. And that has a huge impact. And we almost don't realize till years later, like, wow, that was a really successful time. I didn't realize.
Interesting. Good point.
There's a YouTuber, Nico, that my son likes. He's like, he's proper.
But that's wicked. That's brilliant. And I want to touch on the stress element in a minute. But actually, the question I really want to ask you, if you've kind of touched on it, if you could do it all over again, how and what would you do?
That's a tough one.
Is that tough one?
Yeah, because a lot of the kids that come through for work experience, or even some of the kind of medical students, but, I kind of say to them, guys, it's not worth it. Do an MBA.
Seriously?
Just quit early, do an MBA.
Really?
Yeah, do law, do banking. Do something where you'll get. And I say it very tongue in cheek.
Right.
And sadly, as much as I try, more Bill kind of turn around to me at the end and say, I'm really inspired by what you do. I'm still going to go into medicine. I'm like, all right.
Because there is an element of helping people, right? It's an element of helping, and there's beyond money and reward. It's the element around, actually being positive impact on society.
Yeah. So it doesn't feel like that at the time because it is your profession. So you get into it quite idealistic. You want to make sure that you're helping people. It's very difficult if you're an A&E and you've got 10 to 15 hour wait. And patients are screaming at you, nurses are screaming at you. The families are screaming at you. You can't work faster. You make a single mistake, that's it. Doctor, you are unsafe. So you really have to safeguard yourself so it doesn't feel like the system allows them to help. When it's so under-resourced. And we're aware of the whole blame culture thing now, but there's still, what if you mess up?
That's all. That's in you.
I've had to teach myself to be a little bit of an a-hole. And say to people, no, I'm not doing that. And you might not like me, but I am saying it because of it. Or I'm going to be able to go home happy tonight. I've sorted out 10 patients safely, while I really push myself with 15 patients. But one of them has something goes wrong, and I get a lot of trouble with the coroner. I get a lot of trouble with the GMC. People don't see that. Managers won't see that. Family won't see that. The people on the day won't see that. They'll only see you off work a year or two later.
And that's the biggest risk. Massive risk.
What I tell all my junior doctors, like, do not do anything on stage. Slow down. You know, it feels counterintuitive, and then you'll have a lot of managers who just won't kind of understand, or family who won't understand, like, why are you not working faster and faster? Can't do it consistently.
I know what you mean. If you are somebody new and you are considering medicine genuinely because of all the good things that medicine, I mean, the general positive impact it does have, and you do genuinely help someone, what would your view be on, like, you know, if you're considering other options alongside medicine?
Think of it as a career, as you would think of any other career. Right? Yes, you are helping people, but you know, I think people used to joke at Stan Lee, because, you know, comic books aren't going to help people. Well, actually, they kind of do. So choose a career where you're going to help people. You're going to be your best. You're going to be your best self. And while, yes, in medicine you do help people, actually there's a lot of different healthcare professions that can help people. There's a lot of things. If you can write a book as an author, or if you can do investment banking, or if you can go into law, or you can go into politics, then, you know, whatever is your thing to help people and be your best you. Sorry for the cliche. But I genuinely, because, you know, if you're going into medicine thinking, it's going to be some sort of very different career, like, actually, there's a lot of pressures in medicine. Sometimes you can't help people, and that's a very, very difficult thing to do. Sometimes resources are there, but time or money. Sometimes there's extremely toxic working environments out there, so you got to really be careful.
100%. And are we okay to keep rolling? Yeah, we're going to keep rolling. So we're just going to walk the way down then.
Are we out of jurisdiction now?
We are, yeah.
Excellent.
we got to cut that off camera.
Should we go out to the rocks or anything? Was that?
No. We're not going to go to the rocks. I know, although you are medically, qualified to help in case anything goes wrong, but
the problem is that if you feel a cardiac arrest in water, you have to go for longer because it preserves the body a bit higher.
Oh, really?
So,
okay, interesting.
Pain in the ass. Don't die of water.
But yeah, so coming back to that point you've said about the pressures, and actually there's, actually medical is a great profession, but it's hi to your mum too. Medical is a great profession, but it's also, it faces the general pressures of any kind of role, right? So explain that. How was that like dealing with the politics, especially like now you're getting to director role? I mean, really interested to learn.
Well, I'm only now dealing with it in the last few years, because in the first 2 years, as a medical student, you're just buried in your studies. It's a degree. You come out as your F1, F2 foundation years, and you're there for 4 months or 6 months at a time. You get your head down, you do your work, you get out. And I wonder if that's changed, but in terms of actually you don't, whereas if you look at other staff who would work in a hospital environment or a GP practice environment, they're there for the medium to long term. So you'll find that you're not there for the politics, you're there to do a job, get your sign off, and leave. It's only when you're looking in as a permanently qualified doctor, in my case as a GP, then you're looking into, well, how does the practice or the company, how does it treat me? Does it value me? Does it, so little things like annual leave, study leave. If there's always an excuse to not give you annual leave, there's a problem. If they're not really giving you study leave, it's a problem. If you're meant to finish at 6 and you're finishing at 7 or 8 o'clock most days, there's a problem. Now that might be a problem in terms of the way I found I was managing, because the whole GP 10-minute appointment thing. If people come in, imagine you've got 30, so each clinic is usually 16 to 18 patients, and you've got 2 clinics a day. Imagine you've got someone coming in and they've got 2, 3, 4 things wrong with them. You feel sorry for them. You want to try and help them out. You've only got 10 minutes for an appointment. So
there's only so much time you can get.
You do.
And there's that pressure to churn out.
And if everyone comes in with 3 issues instead of 1 issue, all of a sudden you've gone from 18 appointments to 40 something. So sometimes you do have to kind of say, well, I can't do this now. I can do a little bit for you. and then signpost and do things later. So it may be the case that actually a lot of the work, you try to do your best, you try to help people out.
Yeah.
You end up just doing more and more and more.
Fair. So coming back to the politics side, how was that? Was that a bit of a shock, or was it like, oh my God, or just trying to get into it? Like, I mean, how was it? Because like you said, you get to a GP practice and then you realize actually we're working for an organization just like any other organization.
Yeah.
On top of what you do.
Yeah. I'm constantly shocked by how much people in healthcare hate doctors. How was that?
Well, as in the people that work within healthcare.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was at a conference the other day, and there was a drug rep.
Yeah.
And they didn't know I was a doctor.
Right.
And they were just talking about how horrible and greedy doctors were. And I by about the second or third drop, then I kind of said, by the way, I am the medical director. I didn't try and make them feel too bad because, we could all be greedy sometimes. The doctors can be greedy. Lots of people can be greedy.
Yeah.
So it does amaze me in terms of sometimes looking at some of the non-medical staff, what they think of doctors. And that was a real eye-opener because I'd never needed to do that during training. Right. I just assume you're a doctor, you're there to help people.
Yeah.
And I think in the past there's been a lot of stuff about doctors being really condescending to nurses or therapists or non-frontline staff. And so I think we've shot ourselves in the foot a little bit there because we're not the centre of the NHS. We're a part of it.
Yeah.
And I think we have to be quite fair and say actually everyone's a part of it. So,
But what would you say has been kind of the greatest life lessons or some of the biggest learnings you've had, even in the last few years, say?
For me, and I guess everyone's going to be slightly different. So I was always underconfident.
Oh, really?
So, it's imposter syndrome. And
although I'm just quick observation, it was quite the opposite. I used to, having known you since some time back, generally you have come across as confident, which is quite interesting.
Yeah,
right?
So people have told me this as well because I'm 6'2".
Yeah,
and kind of the school that my parents sacrificed and put me into. So there's a lot of kind of things that have happened that I think make me appear confident at times, but that's not always reflected internally.
Right, that's really interesting.
I think that's just me. I'm sure there's others like that as well. And I mean, you get all sorts of personalities, don't you? Some people who are overconfident, some people who are underconfident. But I think so for me it was a case of having a little bit of value for my opinion and having that confidence. So when someone challenges you, you don't automatically back down at the first challenge. You say, no, this is what I believe and this is why. I was always one to reflect and to learn and think. But I've come to see that there's a lot of people out there who are very overconfident, and just because the person who shouts the loudest isn't the person who's right. Although many a times it would feel that they get their way. And I think that's been something that. So it depends on the person who you speak to.
Yeah. So just diving a bit into that. So it's about the confidence level, and that's partially because of upbringing, partially because of background. It could be many factors to that. So would you say it's a bit about backing yourself a bit more, or being not always dismissing your inner thought,
especially in leadership positions.
Yeah.
So when you're a junior doctor, if someone tells you something's not quite right, then you're more likely to think, okay, this person wouldn't just say it for the heck of it, and to look at and reflect on what's happened and maybe think about, am I doing this right? Because you don't want to entrench your heels when actually you do have something to do better. I think when you get more involved in leadership positions and the politics of workplaces, then actually really understanding why is this person saying what they're saying? Can I trust them?
Right.
Because they might appear to be trusting in it and might appear to have good intentions, but do they? Because to a certain extent, we're human beings, we have selfish intentions. We want to get our priorities from a given situation. In teams, when you have highly functional teams, it still amazes me to this day how jealousies and how personalities can really clash. And even though everyone knows, I think, of the team of 5 or 10 or 20 people, if we work together, we'll do a lot more. We'll get a lot further. But equally, I want my way.
Yeah.
And it's that balance of what's good for the team versus what's good for me individually.
Yeah.
And that is a constant thing I'm wary of now.
Yeah, that's a constant challenge. And that's a really interesting point, because I guess in a leadership position, you've got to understand if this is what I want for the team and what I want, but then there's individuals who want what they want, and it's making sure you attend to both aspects. Okay, that's a great insight. How much would you say the actual, on the money side of things, it was a motive of that, the reward side? How much was that?
Well, I don't work for free. I think everyone knows, like, yes, you need to pay the bills. Yes, if someone's not paying you properly, then don't be afraid to ask for a better salary down the road.
Yeah.
People might say, oh, you're not being loyal. Well, I'm really sorry, but I'm not going to be loyal while you're not treating me very well, you're not paying me very well, and actually I can probably be more loyal and treated better and down the road. So value yourself, value your skills.
Right.
But at the same time, go into a place that you like, that you enjoy, that treats you well, that respects you. While it's, you don't want to just do the dirtiest job for the highest money.
Yeah.
Unless it pays really well.
Sorry.
That's all good. But there is a balance of making sure you're doing something that you love, but just, you can very quickly, especially in medicine, you can get to a point where you're doing something you really love doing and it's really underpaid compared to something else that may be related, but you could get paid a lot better. So constantly look at the balance of, am I getting paid well compared to, am I doing what I love doing?
Brilliant. Great advice. It's not like you have an inferiority, but it is, when you're a minority, naturally you kind of question a bit more, and you are surrounded by people that don't necessarily see things the way you do. So even does that carry on into career as well? I mean,
it does. Even it's taken me a long time, but finally going to a conference with 3 or 4 other people. You've got to do the whole networking thing. There's dinner and there's drinks and that all the stuff. But actually, just being confident to say, no, I'll have a Coke, please. Just little stuff like that. It doesn't seem much, and you can tell some of the reactions. I mean, there's a lot of people who don't drink anyway, would be there Muslim or not. But just being unashamed and proud, just be like, no, that's not for me. Thank you.
But that took time though to get to that point.
Sadly,
I mean, it's not sad, but it's just the reality how it was for other people. That's a lot earlier in career. For people, or some people
might back down and like, well, I'm not going to drink. That's my religion. That's it. And I really, I'm impressed by that sort of result. Sadly, it wasn't something that I could do. It takes me a long time to be able just to have the courage, to have the self-doubt and not be ashamed of that, because why should you?
No, I should. Well, Omar, thank you so much. That was an absolute pleasure to have you in a good laugh. Thank you so much, and you too.